2 children vanish overnight. No forced entry. No witnesses. Just silence. And a stepfather who says he woke up to an empty house. But is that the full story? In the days after Lilly and Jack Sullivan disappeared from their quiet Nova Scotia home, the internet exploded with theories. Some point to strangers, others to data gaps in surveillance footage, but one theory refuses to fade, that their stepfather, Daniel Martell, knows more than he's saying. Tonight, we're diving deep, separating fact from speculation, and uncover what the evidence really says for and against the theory that Daniel killed Lilly and Jack Sullivan. On the quiet morning of May 2nd, 2025, Daniel claimed he awoke to an unsettling silence that filled the house. The laughter of his 2 stepchildren, Lilly just 6 and Jack only 4, was gone. Their small beds were empty, the hallway still, the house untouched. He said he checked every room, calling their names, expecting to hear a giggle or footsteps, but instead, only the sound of his own voice echoed back. The front door was unlocked, though there were no signs of a break-in or forced entry. No overturned furniture. No shattered glass. Just the eerie emptiness of a home missing its children. Within hours, that silence was replaced by chaos. Police cruisers, search teams, and volunteers flooded Lansdowne Station, a quiet rural stretch of Pictou County that wasn't used to seeing national headlines. RCMP brought in K-9 units, drones, and thermal imaging equipment. Hundreds of volunteers combed through thick forest trails, ditches, and nearby creeks, calling the children's names over and over, hoping for an answer that never came. Helicopters hovered above, while locals left food and flashlights on their porches for searchers. Days turned into weeks. The posters faded under rain, and hope began to mix with fear. Every hour that passed without a lead made the story harder to comprehend. How could 2 young children simply vanish without a trace? When the RCMP addressed the public, they made a statement that would change everything. There was no evidence of abduction, but investigators were not ruling anything out. That single line, vague, careful, and deliberate, was all it took. The internet exploded. Online forums, Reddit threads, and TikTok pages began dissecting every photo, every interview, every gesture from Daniel. Theories multiplied overnight, and suddenly, the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan wasn't just a tragedy. It had become a mystery that the whole world wanted to solve. So, why is the internet zeroed in on Daniel, the children's stepfather, the man who first reported them missing? It started with the timelines. From the beginning, investigators and journalists noted small but curious discrepancies in accounts of when Lilly and Jack were last seen alive. In some early interviews, Daniel mentioned the kids were put to bed around 9:30 p.m., but in later statements, that time crept closer to midnight. At first glance, that might seem trivial, an hour or 2 difference in memory during a stressful night. But to the online community, where every detail is scrutinized like evidence in a courtroom, those inconsistencies became red flags. True crime forums filled with posts comparing timestamps, mapping out possible windows of time where something could have gone wrong. Then came the revelation about the polygraph test and device seizure. Daniel himself confirmed that police had asked him to take a lie detector test, and that he complied. He also admitted that investigators seized his phone, laptop, and other electronic devices. RCMP said this was standard protocol, but online detectives didn't see it that way. To them, the words police seized sounded far more sinister than standard procedure. Speculation grew that there was something on those devices that investigators were analyzing: messages, location data, deleted files, something that could explain the children's disappearance. But perhaps the most viral aspect of all came from Daniel's public demeanor. Every interview, every statement, every tear was captured, clipped, and reposted online. Armchair analysts broke down his body language, noting every shift in posture, every pause before answering, every moment his eyes darted away from a camera. One TikTok claimed his micro-expressions revealed guilt. Another insisted they showed grief. The clips spread faster than the facts. And then there's access and opportunity, the cold, logical cornerstone of many investigations. Daniel was the only adult present that morning. He was the last person known to see the children. Statistically, investigators always start closest to home, and that proximity alone fueled the internet suspicion. All these factors merge to form what many online dubbed the Daniel did it theory, a narrative built not on confirmed evidence, but on fragmented clues, emotions, and internet logic. Yet, as gripping as that story sounds, the truth may be far more layered and far less certain. The biggest mystery in this case may not be Daniel at all. It's the yawning timeline gap that refuses to close. Investigators have repeatedly pointed to surveillance gaps as the single most alarming hole in the story. Stretches of time between the family's last confirmed public sighting and the moment the children were reported missing where no camera, dash cam, or recorded timestamp currently fills in what happened. In a rural community where a dozen small cameras, neighbor dash cams, and cellular pings have created a neat chain of movement, investigators say several links are missing. That absence isn't neutral. It creates a window in which countless possibilities could have occurred, and it forces detectives to rely on smaller, noisier signals. Among the physical items recovered are a hard drive and a vehicle tracker, artifacts that sound mundane but may be crucial. A hard drive can hold a timeline of files, deleted messages, and metadata that points to who was where and when. Vehicle trackers can provide granular location histories measured in minutes, even seconds. But both require painstaking forensic work. Imaging the drive to preserve original data, parsing corrupted or encrypted files, reconstructing deleted entries, and checking timestamps against time zones and device clocks. The RCMP's repeated phrase, "The truth is in the data," is no throwaway line. It signals an investigative strategy. Instead of relying solely on testimony or behavior, they're looking for objective, machine-recorded footprints that can corroborate or contradict human accounts. That promise is also the source of public anxiety. Digital evidence feels definitive to many, a map of what actually happened. So when police say the answers lie in devices still under analysis, it heightens a sense of suspended judgment. The internet fills that vacuum with narratives. One side imagines a domestic tragedy hidden behind closed doors. The other conjures far more sinister, novel scenarios that haven't been publicly suggested by investigators. Meanwhile, forensic timelines are slow. Recovering usable data from damaged drives or fragmented logs can take weeks or months, and findings must be carefully validated to avoid errors that can mislead both investigators and a court of public opinion. Until those technical analyses are complete, the case remains trapped between two competing stories. The familiar, human impulse to assign blame to someone nearby, and the chilling possibility that the true explanation lies in an unexpected technical anomaly, a chance encounter, or a pattern that hasn't yet been imagined. In the void between those narratives, every unanswered minute becomes its own mystery. What fill those hours, and which digital breadcrumb will finally lead out of the dark? After months of relentless searching, countless interviews, and a community drained by grief and speculation, there are still no answers that hold weight in court. No proven killer, no bodies recovered, no confession that ties the story together. Just an aching absence that grows heavier with time. The woods around Lansdowne Station have been combed over and over. Ponds have been drained, properties searched, tips verified and dismissed. Yet every lead ends the same way, in silence. Despite all that, Daniel remains a centerpiece of online suspicion. His face has become a symbol in the digital true crime world. The stepfather who knows more than he's saying, according to hundreds of posts and videos dissecting his every move. But away from the noise, investigators have never formally charged him, nor declared him a suspect. He remains, officially, a person connected to the case, not the proven villain the internet has built. As one veteran investigator quietly admitted in an interview, sometimes the loudest theories drown out the quiet facts. That line cuts through the hysteria surrounding this case. It's a reminder that while speculation might satisfy our craving for answers, it can also cloud the truth. Online, every new detail is spun into a narrative. Every rumor becomes evidence. But behind the headlines, the real story might be quieter. Something that doesn't fit the viral template of good versus evil. Because at its heart, this isn't just a crime story. It's a tragedy, and its victims aren't hashtags or theories. They're Lilly and Jack, two small children whose laughter once filled a house that now stands unbearably still. Before anyone rushes to point fingers or crown a villain, maybe it's time to remember that the goal isn't to win an argument online. It's to find the truth. And until that day comes, the question lingers in every parent's mind. How can two children disappear so completely? And how long before quiet facts finally speak louder than the noise? What do you think? Does the available evidence point toward Daniel or away from him? Drop your thoughts below, but keep it respectful, because this story is still unfolding, and if there's one thing clear, the truth hasn't fully surfaced yet. I'm True Crime Radar, and this is a Sullivan Mystery Revisited.